Hi, today we're going to take a look at angle relationships. So I have three figures up here. Each one of these figures, I need to figure out what x is in all of them. And while we're finding x, I want to figure out, well, how are these angles related to each other in order to find what we're looking for. Starting with the first example here. When we have angles on top of each other, I guess opposite the vertex of our figure, we call these things vertical angles. So I'm going to say vertical angles. Now, vertical angles, what we know about them is both angles are going to be the same value. They're congruent to each other. So I can set up an equation. I can say 130 equals 3x plus 10. Now we just got to do algebra in order to solve. So inverse operation for the 10 is minus 10. And then inverse of multiplication's division, we divide by 3. X ends up being 60. So it's not saying anything. It's not saying find the value of the angle. It's just saying what is x. Next one over here. We have two angles that are next to each other. When we have two things that are next to each other, that's a fancy way of saying adjacent angles. Adjacent angles. Now, what do we know about adjacent angles? Well, specifically these adjacent angles. They form a linear pair or supplementary. They form supplementary angles. What does that mean? Supplementary angles is 180 degrees. So I could then create an equation that says 2x plus 4x and 120 equals 180. Combine like terms, let's move things left and right. Move 120, leaving us with 60 equals, put these two things together, you get 6x. Divide, x is 10. Next, last one, we have two variables now. We now have x and we have y. So we have to kind of figure out where are we going and how are we solving this. So first off is x doesn't combine with anything else, so I can't compare that. I can't solve for x yet. Let's try and solve for y though. I know that these are opposite of each other. Those opposite angles are called vertical angles. So let's start there. I know vertical angles are the same or they're congruent to each other. So I can say 2y and 30 equals 3y minus 15. And then let's solve and get that variable by itself. So I'm going to move 2y, 30 equals 1y minus 15, add the 15, and then y equals 45. Now, we didn't find the measure of the angle. We just found that y right here is the value of 45. So in order to find x, I need to know what this whole angle is. So I'm going to take 45 and I want to plug it in for that y value. I'm going to then say 2 times 45 plus 30. So 90 and 30 giving us 120. So this whole angle is 120 degrees. Because I know that, I can then find this because these two are next to each other. We can call these adjacent angles. So not only do we have vertical angles, we then have adjacent angles. And then those adjacent angles, what do we know about them? They're supplementary angles, which add up to 180 degrees. So I can then say 120 plus x equals 180. Move that 120, x equals 60 degrees. So we then know that that whole thing is 60 degrees. And that's using angle relationships to solve for x and y.